Sam Altman, co-founder of OpenAI, just tweeted that the rollout is complete live to 100% of ChatGPT Plus users. What is he talking about? He's talking about Strawberry. That's the code name for this new family of AI models that have special reasoning capabilities. These models are called O1 Preview because they're resetting the clock, and O1 Mini. These models are known for thinking, and while they take a little bit longer than the existing cutting-edge GPT-4 models, the output is stunning. As you can see, it's crushing it on math competitions, coding, and it's beating human-level experts, PhD levels, at various different science questions. So this is really, I'd argue this is a breakthrough for humanity looking at this. And it's not just these subjects. You can see math, you can see chemistry, physics, biology. These are huge improvements in the model. You could see it across various different subjects. If you want to talk about economics, if you want to talk about the LSAT, it got up to 95.6 on the LSAT. I mean, this is truly stunning. Looking at the improvement. Is this, the radical superintelligence? No, but this is a huge step in the right direction. One example on the OpenAI website and also on YouTube, they show that one programmer for OpenAI, he was using this new model, the O1 Preview, to say, hey, I want to create that snake game. Can you do it for me? And it goes like, it's thinking, and boom, it's there. It creates the code. And they build the snake game like then and there. It truly is stunning in terms of how capable this model is. OpenAI is leaning into this dramatic and exciting news by raising capital because it's not cheap to build cutting edge products, and they're looking to raise a few $1 billion at $150 billion valuation. Tiger Global's looking to get in on the action. This does make me wonder, what are the best AI stocks? I mean, after all, you're watching Unrivaled Investing. Not only am I covering some of the news in this case, which is this, incredible AI initiative and what this revolutionary new model. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but it's a huge step in the right direction. So I'm very curious how it affects my own in domain where I'm focused on investing. That's what I'm passionate about. You're watching Unrivaled Investing. This is a channel dedicated to educational investment content where we're thinking about stocks oftentimes. And so I don't get me wrong, I strongly believe this model, people aren't aware. When you have a PhD AI in your pocket, which you effectively do, you're going to have real ramifications on the labor market. But let's think about what stocks could potentially benefit the most. And so I actually run it through this O1 Preview, and the results, frankly, aren't breathtaking. It's largely what a lot of people would expect. NVIDIA, Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon. I mean, I think NVIDIA is the obvious one because it's the leading graphic processing units, manufacturer. It has the dominant, or their designer, Taiwan Semiconductor is the manufacturer. And, Alphabet, they're probably one of the top contenders and competitors with OpenAI, but I'd argue their search business might come under pressure over time. Microsoft's, key partner with OpenAI, so yeah, that makes sense. Plus the Azure cloud platform, Amazon, once again through AWS, providing that infrastructure. So, I look at this and this list makes sense. Meta platforms as well. They have a leading open source model. So I would say this response, and you can see it thought for 11 seconds, and it'll always show you this sort of count, this timer that'll show you like this is the thought process. This is how long it took. These were the questions it asked in order to solve it. And I think that's part of the reason why they're resetting the clock on this model, calling it the O1, is it's a new step. It's to say, hey, sometimes the questions are very simple. It doesn't require, let's say, 30 seconds of thinking, but sometimes it might require something that's more deep, where it needs to think about something. It needs to ask a bunch of questions and then sort of orchestrate, analyzing those different questions, the pieces, and then sort of summing it all together. So this model is more expensive than some of their other models, which have dropped in price significantly. So overall, I look at this answer and I go, man, this is largely what I expected, largely what people already know. And this is one of the challenges with GPT is that, or at least with this model preview, is that there's a knowledge cutoff as of the end of 2023. So it's not, the most up to date. So I go to AI Ticker Chat, and this is the stock scanner feature. This is a premium feature. And so I go, okay, and I type this in here. I want to find situations where management calls out AI as a key driver for their growth, and ideally a framework for why AI could help or could drive hyper growth in the years ahead. And I want this to be in the last quarter. So I want management to have called this out in the last quarter. Maybe it's a transcript. But I also I want to see that not only is management calling it out, because there's a lot of, fraudsters out there. I also want to see it with the numbers. So I want to see 20% growth on the last year and 10% growth projected over the next, 3 years. So a minimum of 10% annual growth over the next 3 years. So this is saying, hey, there's real growth with this business at a minimum of 20%. And you know what? I like profit. I like real free cash flow. So let's do a wide net. Normally I'm like, hey, I'd prefer to buy something closer to 20 times free cash flow, maybe 30 times free cash flow. You know what? I'll set a 50 times because I want to, cast a wide net. So I'll say under 50 times free cash flow for this. But first, a quick plug. As always, this is not financial advice. Also, just earlier this week, James, a premium member of the exclusive Unrivaled Investing community, shared, this is a direct quote, was very happy to have re-upped my annual subscription, enjoying the contributions and wisdom of the Unrivaled community. If you're looking for compelling investment ideas, come check out Unrivaled Investing. By the way, prices will be going up soon, so now's the time to lock in the favorable rates. So going to the output of this stock scanner, where once again, it's where management has called out that they think AI is going to help drive hyper growth or strong growth in the years ahead, and under 50 times free cash flow and projected growth of a minimum of 10% in the years ahead. And so this is the list. UiPath, where you can see around 20 times free cash flow, growing around 20%. Snowflake, AppLovin. AppLovin I actually called out on this channel several weeks ago. I actually called it out then again to my subscribers because I purchased shares in AppLovin. So if you want to see the full detail and thought process, go to Unrivaled Investing. So that's going to be behind the wall. So I did call that out to my subscribers a few weeks ago. That's AppLovin. Meta Platforms also makes sense. I already talked about this, but Dynatrace, I'm not really familiar with. Atlassian, that's a software company. Quanta Services. So let's dive into Dynatrace and Quanta Services, because these are, the first two that sort of come up that I'm not really aware of. Atlassian, I'm pretty sure they're the Jira software solution. So let's dive into these individual companies. So once again, looking at Quanta Services, so this is one of the top companies where management has called out that they think AI could help drive this business going forward. And what do they even do? So they're a provider of infrastructure solutions, primarily the electric, gas, and utility, where they have a decentralized model, so a bunch of different operating companies, and it's about engineering, procurement, construction, repair, and maintenance services. So this is the construction, the design, the construction of electrical infrastructure, power transmission, renewable energy generation facilities. So what's this have to do with AI? This seems sort of like maybe it's a mistake. Well, not really, because if you look at the data in terms of what are the energy needs for the data centers that are powering AI, this is increased by an order of magnitude, nearly 9-fold since 2015, that the data centers in terms of are using power. And that's expected to continue to increase as the US continues to deploy larger and larger models that are going to require a lot more energy. So that's going to require infrastructure build. And that's exactly, I go to these search results, that's exactly what you see here. The capital budgets of our customers continue to rise, whether it be technology, whether it be utilities. I think people are willing to spend money on AI. People want to spend. So it's these AI projects that are driving this infrastructure spend. And that's what's expected to drive their growth. And you can see that outside of 2020 and COVID, where their sales only declined by about 8%, this business has been on a steady rise, 16%, 30%, 22%, expected continued teens growth in the years ahead. It is a very narrow margin business, only around 5%, because at the end of the day, this is an EPC business, it looks like, engineering, procurement, and construction, meaning, they're doing the designing, they acquire the materials, and they actually do the construction. And so that's, it's super tight and narrow, type of profit margins when you're looking at this type of business. I prefer generally, I actually, back in my banker days, a long time ago, I worked with one of the largest EPC companies that was private, and they were going, this was back when I was a banker and working at a distress shop that focused on helping companies that were in a problem. And so this was an EPC that took on a bunch of construction projects, that, they said, hey, we can deliver it here. And at the end of the day, they had sizable cost overruns. So if I were to look more at Quanta services, I would want to make sure like, hey, that's not a risk that I really have to wake up with of, that you could have these huge cost overruns that could cause the business to get in a lot of trouble. So generally, I don't like these types of businesses. But, maybe if it were unique or different in some other way, then, maybe I'd, pursue it. So Dynatrace, that was the other one. So they say they're a leading provider of software solutions that focus on observability and application security. So what's that mean? That means oftentimes you'll have companies that have critical applications, critical software, and they say, hey, we need to make sure that this doesn't go down and critical parts of our website don't all of a sudden stop working. And so they want something that's constantly observing to make sure there aren't problems that are building up. So that way the end customers have a smooth experience. So that's what this observability is. But what's this have to do with AI? They talk about, and this is from the recent calls as of August, they talk about leveraging predictive and generative AI techniques to provide precise answers, enabling not only rapid incident correction. So when a customer starts having an issue, the AI can help with the correct it, but also the AI can provide predictive actions and automated response to say, hey, you're going to have a problem. Let's address it before it happens. And they talk about how their AI capabilities set themselves apart from their competitors. So this is what I like to hear. That's the language of an unrivaled business. And they talk about, look, our AI provides the critical information that helps them pinpoint the root causes when there are an issue. So the AI helps do the analysis. So this is interesting language, suggesting that, hey, this AI is part of the reason why this business is growing. When I go to, once again, AI Ticker Chat, use the predict feature, I, just to get a quick snapshot of, is the return potentially interesting? And this is the hypothetical framework. And here it is in the bull case, it's assuming 20% growth for the next few years, 30% profit margin, so well above where they are today, and a 35 times N multiple. Assuming all these in this bull case, it only gets to around 75% upside, over the next 5 years. Yeah, you do get some cash flow as well that could juice the return higher. Obviously, stock prices can go way higher or lower depending on their execution and sentiment. But seeing this sort of output doesn't get me as excited to want to dig in further when I look at Dynatrace. So those are the initial, thoughts looking at this list of, first of all, this incredible news from OpenAI, and then wanting to look at what are some of the companies that can benefit from AI, this revolution. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please make a point of hitting that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching Unrivaled Investing.